Today on Investigate TV Plus, parents left powerless when an inflatable bounce house is swept into the air.
There's nothing you could do. Even if I jumped on it and grabbed onto it, it pulled up the generator that it was using to inflate it.
We uncover the hidden dangers of the popular party activity and explain how your kids can play safely.
Something that is supposed to be a fun event shouldn't have to turn into a tragic one at the end of the day.
Then, in a world where careers could end in a single moment, one jockey refuses to be sidelined.
It's a profession that attracts adrenaline junkies, and it's just a necessary evil to be able to do this.
And proves true champions aren't defined by how they fall, but how they ride once again.
Plus, a Boy Scout finds courage to overcome a challenge that saved his father and brother's life.
Without Lewis's help, we weren't going to be able to get them.
In-depth stories that inform and inspire. You're watching Investigate TV Plus. They're a familiar sight at birthday parties and festivals across the country, inflatable bounce houses. I'm Lee Zurich.
And I'm Tisha Powell, but every year thousands of kids are sent to the hospital, and sometimes Mother Nature is to blame.
Investigative reporter Kristen Crowley explains how certain weather conditions can lead to serious injuries, and the safety measure experts say is key to keeping kids injury-free.
We assumed because we didn't have two of the kids right there with us that they could possibly be in the bounce house.
In an instant, tossed into the air, unable to be controlled. This video from March 2022 in Hickory, North Carolina, shows what can happen when wind and an inflatable bounce house meet.
Are they in here? Y'all in there?
Of course, panic was just all over us.
Where are the kids? I guess they're inside. Are they inside? They're inside. They're inside.
It's definitely something that parents need to be aware of. They need to understand that that is a very real risk.
In 2021, Kevin Lee and his son Colin were at an after-school party in Mesa, Arizona, when something similar happened. The inflatable Colin and other kids were playing in was picked up by strong winds.
You go there with one thing in mind, having fun, being at a party, and then it's just in a flash, it happens, and it's tragedy.
Lee says the bounce house went roughly 15 to 20 feet into the air. All he and the other parents could do was look on in horror as the kids began falling off one by one. Colin says it all happened so fast.
I remember just I just went on it and in a flash it just happened.
Colin suffered a broken tailbone. His dad says as a parent, he felt powerless in that moment.
There's nothing you could do. Even if I jumped on it and grabbed onto it, it pulled up the generator that it was using to inflate it.
Other incidents like this have been making headlines for years.
Breaking from overnight, a bouncy house was blown away in Australia.
In 2021, 6 children died when they fell more than 30 feet from a bounce castle lifted into the air by wind at a school event on the coast of Tasmania. In August of 2024, a 5-year-old boy was killed and another child injured when the bounce house they were playing in lifted 15 to 20 feet in the air by the wind during a baseball game in Maryland. And in April of 2024, back in Arizona, a 2-year-old boy was killed and another child injured in Casa Grande when wind sent a bounce house flying.
We've heard reports and seen reports where bounce houses will go up and over houses.
John Knox is a geography professor at the University of Georgia. His research documented 132 cases of wind-related bounce house incidents worldwide from 2000 to 2021, causing at least 479 injuries and at least 28 deaths. Events associated with cold fronts account for most weather-related incidents, but the research reveals that dust devils specifically pose a notable danger.
there have been quite a few incidents in the Southwest U.S. where bounce houses haven't just been blown around, but lofted into the air because of the vertical motion of a dust devil taking it upward, and that's where it gets really dangerous.
It's important to keep in mind children can become injured in inflatable bouncers if they're jumped on or knocked into by other children, if they fall out, or if the house deflates or collapses. Overall, a study by the Children's Hospital of Orange County found that nearly 83,000 kids were hurt from 2015 to 2019.
It could happen at any time.
The Montez Dioca family set up inflatable bounce houses often for their Phoenix area business. They know firsthand the importance of safety and taking extra precautions, like using 20-inch stakes or 50-pound sandbags to prevent their inflatable castles and slides from flying away.
We won't set up any inflatables if winds are predicted at 15 miles or more for the day. We will simply cancel the event.
Arizona is one of dozens of states that currently has no regulations when it comes to bounce houses, including what wind speeds they're allowed to be used in.
It's obviously safety for us, especially as a parent, comes first before, anything else.
Montez Dioca thinks inflatables are safe as long as they're installed properly and there's an adult watching the kids at all times.
These can be so much fun, kids love them, and something that is supposed to be a fun event shouldn't have to turn into a tragic one at the end of the day.
Since his accident, Colin has healed from his physical injuries, but he also went to a psychologist to help heal from the emotional trauma of that horrific day. While it took some time, he's already been back on a bounce house since the incident.
Do you enjoy going on bounce houses still?
Yeah, unless it hurts me.
Would you like them to be a little safer, maybe?
Yes.
Whether that means, more rigorous safety testing or more, anchors to keep them down or something. Something needs to be done.
There have been recalls related to bounce houses. In late 2022, the Consumer Product Safety Commission sent a warning about the My Bouncer Little Castle after a 4-year-old reportedly got caught in the inflatable product and died. The agency said the bounce houses failed to meet voluntary regulations set to reduce the risk of accidental head or neck entrapment in inflatable play devices, adding that the product can pose a risk of entrapment and strangulation.
Even if skies are clear, the experts we spoke with say to keep an eye on wind speeds. Wind gusts as low as 13 miles per hour can cause some bounce houses to deflate or rise off the ground. To prevent non-weather-related injuries, here are a couple of rules to remember. Before entering the bounce house, make sure to take off your child's shoes, glasses, jewelry, or other loose objects. If there's more than one child in the bounce house at a time, they should be around the same age and size, and generally older than 6.
In the age of digital job hunting, your online resume could attract more than just potential employers.
I got all of these emails, like about 30 in a row.
Still ahead, we'll break down ways to protect yourself from scammers targeting job seekers.
But first, a dangerous fall nearly cost a jockey his career.
You get paid for what you do, but you pay for what you do.
We get a behind-the-scenes look at his ride to recovery.
You can watch Investigate TV Plus anytime, streaming online. Get the app for Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and Apple TV. They're free to download.
Oftentimes, they're only protected by a helmet and safety vest on top of a 1,000-pound animal racing at speeds around 40 miles an hour. It can be a dangerous ride for jockeys.
But their health care has become a priority in recent years as new mandates for their physical and mental welfare have taken shape.
Reporter John Bull introduces us to a jockey who had a terrible fall at Churchill Downs, only to battle back 3 months later.
He went to the University of Texas to be an accountant, but he's going to Norton Sports Health to be a jockey.
As soon as I graduated, it's like I got that diploma and I sprinted right back to the racetrack.
And something drastic happened as he was trying to become one of the best jockeys in the game.
My horse stumbled. I was very fortunate.
So fortunate, Keith only fractured his femur, broke 3 ribs and tore a lung, mandating he lie motionless in the hospital the first week. His horse was uninjured.
Go ahead and come down.
Ready, set.
You get little pushes.
According to the Jockeys Guild, race riders suffer 2,500 injuries a year, and the average jockey gets sidelined by injuries 3 times per year.
4 seconds.
But unlike other violent sports like football, horse racing didn't even start implementing things like concussion protocol or even physicals until 2 years ago.
When we started doing sports physicals for these professional athletes, their history was pages long, or they can't remember all the injuries they've had just because they've had so many.
It's a very humbling experience. It's like learning how to walk again. Jeez.
All right, switch.
Can't stay harnessed to the gym forever. After months of simulation, it's time to take a riskier step. Every morning at 5 a.m., the Steve Asmussen barn has a parade. No grand marshal, just 36 horses chomping at the bit to get out and exercise. It's training day at Churchill Downs. Keith Asmussen is one of 6 riders scheduled to let them spin their wheels.
It's okay. You don't have to pick me up. You can go back to the barn.
Is it too soon? He's well aware of riders' reputations for rushing back to paychecks. Just a few years into this, Keith is a few furlongs shy of $9 million in purse earnings.
You get paid for what you do, but you pay for what you do. It's not necessary. Like, there are consequences to rushing back injuries, and that is, there's a very strong propensity to do that.
Doesn't that hurt to bust your femur? It's a major bone.
Yes, it hurts, but I think the thing that hurts the most about getting hurt as a race rider is just the loss of momentum of success.
All alone, in the dark, watching is Keith's dad. Stopwatch in hand. It's time. Keith was riding his dad's horse when he went down.
What kind of thoughts go through your head at a time like this for him?
I'm just happy to see him back doing what he loves to do.
What thoughts are still lingering in your head that you worry about?
I don't. I don't think I expect things to work out. Always have and always will.
Horse after horse, the workouts are working out just fine on the same track where 3 months earlier he was a broken, mangled mess. But the joy on his face is rising faster than the backside sunrise.
Feeling great. I couldn't be more excited with how...
What does feeling great mean? Like, do you have a hitch in your stride? Or
no hitch in my stride.
No
the mobility
pain.
is very, very
Anything
close
you
to where it
can't
was.
do?
No, I don't feel anything I can't do.
Moments later, his mending femur, ribs, and lung are piloting another thoroughbred, thoroughly focused on race day.
It's a profession that attracts adrenaline junkies, and it's just a necessary evil to be able to do this. And it's so fun, it's so rewarding, it's incredibly challenging. It checks all the boxes, and a lot of the people like myself will do whatever it takes to be able to keep doing it.
In September of 2024, Keith made his comeback from injury at Churchill Downs on a horse named Payne, spelled P-A-Y-N-E. He finished 5th.
As of March 2025, Keith's earned more than $1 million in winnings and added several first-place finishes to his resume.
Still to come, a woman's quest for a work-from-home position turns into a warning for other job seekers.
Once you give your information, it's out there. You can't go back and get it. Once they got it, they got it.
How scammers use your online resume to get more than just your employment history.
And a camping trip takes a terrifying turn when a father and son plunge off an 80-foot cliff.
I remember grabbing Pete and putting him in the bear hug and saying, "We're going down."
How a young boy became the hero his family needed.
Our in-depth coverage continues. You can get connected to Investigate TV Plus on all social media platforms. When searching for a job, uploading your resume online might seem like a good way to get in front of employers, but experts say it could put you on a criminal's contact list.
Reporter Harry Sambler explains how crooks prey on people using free career sites.
I got all of these emails, like about 30 in a row, and it sort of scared me. It really did.
Barry Hannah is second-guessing her decision to share her resume on job sites like Monster, Indeed, and CareerBuilder.com. In between the job alerts that flooded her inbox, she received emails that appeared to be from recruiters, but they're not.
Yeah, it's hard because I have to sift through each one of those emails to figure out which one is legitimate.
Barry wants to work from home, and with 15 years in the customer service industry, it shouldn't be hard. But when she uploaded her resume for everyone to see, it opened a Pandora's box. The so-called recruiters who want to interview Barry will only do so by text.
And so this is the interview? This is the actual...
This is the interview.
The interview. Okay. To begin formally, my name is Matt Nukia. Please feel free to address me as Matt.
This texted interview posed a series of general questions followed by an immediate offer. From the interview conducted in my unbiased opinion, it is evident that you are fit for this position. To cut it short, the hiring team agreed to.
So he's offering me for the remote position $28 an hour, with training being $20 an hour, which is like great, you know, to get paid $20 an hour to train.
But offers like this are too good to be true. Here's another way to know. The company the scammer claimed to work for, Vituity, does not provide startup checks to buy supplies or make promises like, this is not a scam. Vituity is a real company, but if you go to its website, look what's posted on its main page. It's a warning about a fraudulent recruiting alert. Ooh, here's another job offer from Vaibhav Kadbane, who claims to be with Bravens Inc. on behalf of Hitachi Global, but he's not, because the real Bravens also posts a fraudulent recruiting alert on its website.
I just don't want people actually giving their address and their social security information to strangers, not knowing whether it's a scam or not, so that they won't fall prey to these people. I mean, once you give your information, it's out there. You can't go back and get it. Once they got it, they got it.
Good news from Hannah. She says she did find a legitimate job, and that's all anyone wants, the ability to work without having to deal with worrying about their personal information.
These scammers out there. Never a text interview, though, never.
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 No.
Never.
Red flag.
Yes, it is.
And if you want to avoid getting targeted by scammers, experts suggest using public job sites as a great place for leads, then try to apply directly on the employer's website, and never agree to a text interview.
Up next, an impressive collection of coins and badges.
This was my life-saving medal.
How a boy's quick thinking during a family emergency earned him his most meaningful award yet.
You can watch Investigate TV Plus anytime online. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel at Investigate TV. You can catch stories and full episodes.
A Boy Scout from St. Louis put his training into action when a weekend camping trip with his family almost turned deadly.
Reporter Caroline Hecker explains how the 12-year-old helped save his dad and brother after they fell off a cliff.
This one?
Challenge coins are Louis Miklovic's thing.
Here's another challenge coin.
Ask to see his collection, and he can tell you everything about each one. He's also a Boy Scout.
That's personal fitness, that's swimming.
Donning quite the collection of his own. He's earned more than a dozen merit badges and medals. His love for the outdoors punctuated by an annual Labor Day family camping trip at Washington State Park. But an early evening hike along a bluff with his dad and brother took a terrifying turn.
I remember grabbing Pete and putting him in the bear hug and saying, "We're going down, hold on, it'll be okay." And then I remember just waking up.
Louis's younger brother, Peter, lost his footing along the edge of the trail, sending him and their father plunging over an 80-foot cliff. When Josh came to, he had one question.
I said, where is Lewis?
Lewis, after seeing his brother and dad fall, ran back through the woods, stumbling upon a nearby road. A park ranger happened to pass by.
But then I told the ranger that my dad and my brother Peter fell off a cliff.
It seems simple, but for Lewis, it was a big deal. Incredibly gifted,
Ulysses S. Grant.
Especially when it comes to U.S. presidents, Lewis has autism, making social interactions, especially with strangers, difficult, but not on that day.
This overlook in the winter is pretty bare, but if you take a look in the fall, leaves cover the trees, and that is something park rangers say can make finding someone that's fallen much more difficult. So they credit Lewis's ability to pinpoint the location of the accident in saving them countless hours.
Captain Chris Kreider and another ranger began climbing down the bluff, making their way to Josh and Peter.
We looked down and we were able to spot Josh and the young kid. We started talking to them. They were coherent and was talking back, but you could tell that there was some really bad injuries.
Captain Kreider got Peter to safety with minor injuries. A rescue team was able to carry Josh down to the nearby river, find a boat, and get him to a place where a helicopter could land. Josh suffered a concussion and broken back.
Louis McLovick.
Lewis's heroic actions nabbed him the Civilian Partnership Award.
So this is me and the government.
He's also sporting some new hardware.
This was my life-saving medal.
How he communicates with others is a challenge, but that day it was all clear. It was all clear. And that is 100% Lewis at his finest.
Captain Kreider agrees.
Without Lewis's help, we weren't going to be able to get them because this would have been a body recovery at that point.
George Washington, John Adams.
A boy in the right place at the right time who, when it mattered most, knew just what to say.
That's it for us on Investigate TV Plus. I'm Tisha Powell.
And I'm Lee Zurich. Thanks for watching.
On the next Investigate TV Plus, a mother given devastating news about the fate of her unborn baby said her doctors gave her few options.
I wish that for no mother or no baby to have to go through that.
We take an in-depth look at infant mortality after a landmark Supreme Court decision and how one mother found herself caught in the middle of the debate.